All right, so we got permission to leave. All right, so if you haven't seen the last video, go and check out the Australian travel exemption. We can now set sail. We can now go on our planned journey around the Caribbean. The video is going to be all about buying a boat. So there's a few provisos, and our first one has to deal with, well, what time of year we're setting sail. So we're we're setting sail. So we've got the travel exemption in September. That means that we're probably going to be looking like October, November before we actually really get to go and start the adventure. So buying a boat in the Med is really not feasible anymore, because there's not enough time to prepare the boat to cross the Atlantic to go and do our Caribbean sailing dreams. There's also another proviso about how long Samantha's guaranteeing to be on the boat. Samantha?
So I've said to Dave that I can guarantee 6 months. I figure, you know, I don't want to commit to 12 months, and 3 months is obviously not long enough. I just want to be realistic and make sure that the boys are enjoying it before.
So we need to make sure those first 6 months are pretty good then. So another proviso that we're working with here is that we are after a cat. So although I'm not opposed to monos, monos heel over, of course, when you're going somewhere. When you're sitting in the top of a cat or in the saloon of a cat, you can see all around you. You've got that sort of 360-degree sort of panorama, so you don't feel like you're confined below.
Yeah, and just a bit more comfortable. So, you know, especially on anchorages and on the hook, it's just a little bit more relaxing, I suppose.
Yeah, so we're looking for a cat that's probably going to be located in the US East Coast or the Caribbean. And we are looking for it's going to be something that has probably been a previous liveaboard boat as opposed to a charter cat. Because we've got that 6-month proviso, we don't want to be spending 6 months or 3 months, you know, putting the water maker in and getting the spinnaker or an asymmetrical spinner or something set up. You know, dealing with whether it has the right dinghy with a big enough outboard and water maker and generator and all those other things. So we're probably going to be looking for something that was a previous liveaboard by somebody. All right, so that brings us to then, well, how much money have we got to spend on a cat? And we're probably looking at a production cat because it's going to be easier to sell it in the end. So the first thing is that, all right, to get out of the road, what's our living expenses? Of course, I've been on the deferred salary scheme. So that's going to give us about $36,000 US to live off for up to the 12 months. So we budgeted on around that $3,000 US a month to live on. So the rest of the money, of course, can go towards buying the boat and making sure that we have a little bit of a buffer room there to actually fix the boat if needed. So we might leave, say, about 10% to basically do the survey, the haul out, and fix any repairs, maintenance, and breakages and stuff in the first year.
We'll sell a rental property, which gave us the majority of the money to go towards the boat, as well as we sold the
trailer sailor. Oh no.
I know.
Our beloved trailer sailor that you've seen all those adventures
really
on.
Sad.
They had to get sold as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, we did a lot of work on Melody Maker, but anyway, we reaped a few rewards from that as well. So we've sold that, and we're in the middle of selling our cars and
kids' motorbikes, my motorbike, Sam's paddleboard, push bikes. Basically, if it wasn't bolted down to the house, we're basically trying to sell it.
So we had my redundancy from last year as well, and that sort of topped up our funds to about the 290 US mark. And so yeah, we took sort of 10% from that, as Dave said, to do repairs and things like that, and have that as a backup.
Yeah, so we're probably looking there at buying a boat, you know, up at the max sort of 250 US, and that would sort of leave us, you know, money there to do the surveying, to do the haul outs, to add anything that it might have, because obviously the owner's versions, you know, they might have 80% of what you want or desire, but then of course the 10% buffer basically for obviously repairs and maintenance in that year that we're going to own it. So yeah, we're looking at around that 250 US mark to try and purchase a boat. All right, so what sort of boat are we going to get for that 250 US mark? The performance catamarans like the Seawind, the Outremer, like a Leopard 46 would be great. They're really out of our budget. So we're really sort of looking more at your 40-foot range, and we're looking basically at your Lagoon 400s, or something similar to that. We are looking at your leopards, maybe your 42 leopard we might get, or a 39 leopard you could get for that money, or maybe a Lipari, Lipari 41 for that sort of money. All right, so I guess that brings us up to the point where we start to say, okay, well, what actually boats do we look at? So let's go online now and check out a few boats, and we'll have a quick little run through of the spreadsheet that I used to try and collate everything.
Which is really good because Dave doesn't usually use spreadsheets.
I use spreadsheets all the time.
No.
All right, so this is the spreadsheet that we've been talking about. Highly recommend setting up a spreadsheet if you're looking at boats. So the left-hand column here, we've got the boat and the name of the boat, the broker, and when I've contacted the brokers. The price, of course, the year that it is, the engine hours, whether the sail drives have been serviced, has it got a generator, how big's the solar, how big's the battery bank, what is the inverter, has it got an aircon, a water maker, a washing machine, what sails has it got and have they been serviced? Is there a life raft and has it been serviced? What about an enclosure? Is it helm only or is it a full enclosure? Is the dinghy and the outboard, what size outboard has it got? And when were the last time that the fridge or freezers have been replaced, especially if we're looking at like 10-year-old boats? Has the rigging been replaced or inspected? Is there an iridium go? And then also there's a few things, of course, that are specific to each model. So what actual boats then do we have in the spreadsheet? We had a Lagoon 400 called Y Dream, which was a 2013 model advertised for $279,000. This is all prices are in US. Less than 3,000 hours. That looked like a pretty good buy, that one. But I emailed about it and it had only been online for maybe 1 or 2 weeks and it was already sold. There's another Lagoon 400 for sale by owner, $279,000. It looked like a good deal as well, but it had been listed on sailboat listings since May, and I never got actually any response. I think I phoned and left a message or something, didn't get any response there either. So yeah, God only knows. Sailboat listings is a terrible website for having old stock listed there, and you don't know whether it's actually still for sale or not. There was a Lipari 41 called In Tune, which also, I believe, was an Australian-owned boat and had been a liveaboard, so it also fit our bill for what we were after, but it had just been sold as well. Now, there was a bunch of Lagoon 400s that were ex-charters, but as I said, the ex-charters would have needed a lot of fitting out, and I don't know if that would have been a successful first few months for us on the boat if we were stuck in a marina sort of fitting that out and everything. There was also, of course, some Lipari 41s, which seemed like some pretty good deals actually there as well, that was second-hand and ex-charters. And so the boat we honed in on was the Lagoon 400, which was an Australian-owned boat, and the owners were actually in Australia. And so I could actually speak to the owner, and it was just the wealth of information that I got from the owner as opposed to speaking to the boat brokers. No offence against the boat brokers. They've obviously got multiple listings. Maybe they haven't been told all the information on the boats, but I would quite often ask them about how big is there a solar bank? How big is the battery bank? Is there an aircon? Obviously, there's no water maker. Have the sails been serviced? And a lot of those questions, the brokers just really didn't know. When I asked this Lagoon 400 owner, then she knew everything. And she was just a wealth of knowledge and just sort of certainly put any anxiety that I had about buying a boat at ease because of she could answer all the questions that I had. So that was just brilliant, I thought. So that's the boat we honed in on, was this Lagoon 400. And as we said, going through the offers, and then most likely this is the one that we were looking at taking to survey.
So we put an offer in, so as you just saw with the online information there, it was over our price range by a good 10% there.
Yeah.
So we put the offer in, of course, as I said, at 250, like we said before, what our budget was. And then basically we went to and fro between the owner there to try and settle on a price. So we did, surprise, surprise, we did go over budget in what we actually wanted to spend, but only by a little bit. But on the flip side is this boat, I think, has
everything.
Pretty much, has 90% of what we want there.
They had pretty much prepared it to do a blue water ocean crossing from the Caribbean to Australia, and a few things happened, and they decided that they needed to come home. So it's got pretty much everything.
Yeah,
saying that, we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, we still haven't seen the boat or anything.
But that's all good.
So we agreed on a price, and Samantha, we bought a boat.
Yay!
We bought a boat. Yay!
Boat.
You know what that then arises to? There's that many things that we now need to plan. It's unbelievable, but we bought a boat. So
Yeah.
Yep, the feeling is pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. Very. If you like what you're seeing, hit the like and subscribe down below, and you'll see our next movies and next videos coming out.
All right, till then.